12. Put every input together and read NVIDIA's WACC. From components to one number. Every input built so far, the cost of equity, the cost of debt, and the capital structure weights, now comes together in a single formula. The formula has two components. The equity component multiplies the cost of equity by the share of equity in total capital. The debt component multiplies the after-tax cost of debt by the share of debt in total capital. Both components are added together to produce one blended rate that represents what the entire company must earn to satisfy both shareholders and creditors. Applying this to NVIDIA. Open the Excel model and go to Sheet 4, WACC Assembly. Section A shows all four inputs pulled automatically from the prior sheets. Cost of equity is 11.77%, derived from CAPM using the adjusted beta of 1.52, a risk-free rate of 4.32%, and an equity risk premium of 4.90%. The equity weight is 99.4%, reflecting NVIDIA's 5-year average market capitalization relative to total capital. After-tax cost of debt is 2.08%, calculated from NVIDIA's 10K interest expense divided by average debt, then adjusted for the 15.1% effective tax rate. The debt weight is 0.6%, which mirrors NVIDIA's minimal use of financial debt relative to its equity. The equity component comes to 11.70%, and the debt component contributes only 0.01%. NVIDIA's WACC is 11.71%. The equity component drives almost the entire result because NVIDIA is financed almost entirely through equity at this stage of its growth. Part 2. Why you must document every assumption. A WACC number without documented sources is not a professional output. Section C of the Excel model is the assumption sheet, and it exists for one purpose. Anyone reviewing the model should be able to trace every input back to a specific, dated, publicly verifiable source. The risk-free rate links to the US Treasury website. The equity risk premium links to Damodaran's January 2026 update. The beta links to Yahoo Finance. The tax rate links to NVIDIA's FY2026 10K filing on SEC EDGAR. This documentation habit protects the analyst when a client, a committee, or a counterparty challenges any assumption. A well-documented assumption sheet also makes updating the model fast. When the risk-free rate changes or a new 10K is published, you update one cell and the entire model recalculates. Testing your WACC with AI. Once the model is complete, paste the full assumption sheet into an AI tool and use this prompt. Review these WACC assumptions for NVIDIA and identify any logical inconsistency. RF 4.32%, ERP bars 4.90%, adjusted beta N1 TION 52, pre-tax KD 2.44%, effective tax rate ANS 15.1%, equity weight ANS 99.4%. In your reasoning. AI will not build the model for you, but it serves as a fast second reviewer that checks whether the inputs are internally consistent and whether the final rate is defensible given the company's risk profile. Use it as a challenge tool, not as a replacement for your own judgment. Part 3. How sensitive is WACC to your assumptions? No WACC input is known with certainty. The beta is an estimate from historical data. The equity risk premium varies depending on the source and the methodology used. Section D of the Excel model contains a sensitivity table that shows how WACC changes when the adjusted beta and the equity risk premium move simultaneously. The table runs 5 levels of beta from 1.40 to 2.0 across the rows, and 5 levels of ERP from 4.2% to 5.6% across the columns. The base case sits at the intersection of beta 1.52 and ERP 4.90%, producing a WACC of approximately 11.71%. Moving the beta up by 0.2 while holding ERP constant adds roughly 1 percentage point to WACC. Moving the ERP up by 1% with beta held constant adds a similar amount. When both move together in the same direction, the combined effect is larger. This tells you that the two inputs with the most influence on WACC are also the two that require the most judgment. Getting the beta right and sourcing a credible ERP figure are therefore the decisions that matter most in this model. A WACC in the range of 10% to 13% for NVIDIA is consistent with what equity research analysts publish for high-growth, large-cap semiconductor companies, which gives you an additional external benchmark against which to validate your result.